We now have the ability to make decisions that will not change so much the world around us, but the world within us forever in ways that can never be reversed. This goes all the way down to the genetic level. And when we define human through a very specific quality of DNA, we now have on the table proposals for medications, for different kinds of medical applications that will forever change who we are genetically. And we don't even know what that means. We don't even know what it means to be human. We're about to give our humanness away to the technology before we even know what it means to be fully human. I personally, I'm not saying it's right, wrong, good, or bad. I have my own personal feelings, but my sense is we owe it to ourselves as a species to find out who we are and what it means to be human before we give it away forever.
We live in unprecedented technological progress, particularly with the rise of artificial general intelligence, AGI, and the growing integration of technology into our biology. These advancements are not just reshaping our tools, they are challenging the very essence of what it means to be human. Unlike narrow AI, designed to handle specific tasks, AGI can potentially exceed human abilities in mental and physical tasks. This raises profound concerns about how these technologies could fundamentally alter society in ways we cannot fully anticipate. As technology advances, the real challenge is the tools themselves and how they affect our humanity. According to Gregg Braden, the focus should be on the qualities that make us human: creativity, intuition, love, and imagination. These traits are expressions of our more profound potential, often viewed as a kind of inner divinity. A big part of this human potential is our ability to overcome fear. Fear is a tool that keeps us controlled. When we're afraid, we don't think clearly or act freely. But when we move beyond fear, we unlock our true potential to create, innovate, and be fully ourselves, things that set us apart from machines or other life forms.
It's a perfect place to begin because truly it is the umbrella under which every event, bar none, in our lives and our world is unfolding. There's a battle. It's an ancient battle. Some people would frame it as a battle between good and evil, or light and dark, originally perceived as good and evil. Ultimately, light and dark are simply energies until we give them the significance that we give to them. But there is an ancient battle playing out. It's not an obsolete battle. It's playing out before our very eyes today. And it sets the context for every event that is unfolding in our world. And so this is a perfect place to begin. We all know there's a battle for our thoughts. That's obvious. If you watch any network news, we've got commentators trying to tell us what to think and how to perceive the events in our lives. Most people know that. There's a battle for our beliefs. It's been playing out for a while in mainstream classrooms, mainstream textbooks. For example, how did the universe begin? Is it a conscious and intelligent beginning, or is it an inert, dead, random process that we're living in? How did we begin? And we'll talk about this. Are we the product of random mutations and lucky biology, as we're led to believe? Is there something else going on there? Those things are important, but they're all part of an even deeper battle. There is a battle for our very humanness that is unfolding right now. And the humanness is the vehicle that allows an even deeper experience, Andre. And that experience, for any of our viewers that may wonder how relevant this conversation really is, there's something deep within each of us that is so powerful, so precious, so sacred, so beautiful, that nations will go to war with other nations to keep us distracted so that we don't know what this power is all about. Armies will defeat armies. Pandemics will be unleashed. We will see the collapse of societies. We will see the collapse of financial systems, all in an effort to keep us distracted from the sacredness of this power within us. So I'm going to use a word and then we'll define it. It is the power of human divinity that is only possible through the biological body. And this is one of the reasons there's such a move to replace our biology with synthetics and artificial intelligence. So the word is divinity. It is divine, our divine nature. Now, when I use that word, in public audiences. Many people assume it has something to do with religion, and I can see why, because there are schools for divinity where religion is taught. But if you look at the definition of divinity, it's a deceptively simple definition, and it simply says that divinity is the power within us to transcend perceived limitations. And that's it. So I can see where religion would be wrapped around that concept, the idea of transcendence. It means not just to survive, but to become greater than, to become more than whatever it is that life brings to our doorstep, the challenge that life brings to our doorstep. So our ability to transcend perceived limitations, they may not even be real. They are the limitations that we have placed upon ourselves through our culture and our society, through our textbooks, through false science, through our culture, our religion, but they may not even be real. So our divinity is the ability to become more than the worst challenges that life brings to our doorstep. The reason it is such a powerful force within us is because through our divinity, among the things we transcend is fear. Divinity is what empowers us to transcend our own fears. If we, as individuals and as a society, are not kept in fear, we are very, very difficult to control. Because without the fear, we have the freedom to love, create, innovate, express. These are all features of divinity. I just want to give some examples of what divinity, everyday divinity, we express it every day in our lives. I had the opportunity, 2016, I went to the Grammy Music Awards, and they held them in New York that year. My wife is a voting member in the Grammys, and she invited me, and I said yes.
It's very kind of her.
It was very kind, and I took advantage of the opportunity, and I met amazing people there. And every opportunity I had, I would ask the musicians and the producers, I would say, when you wrote this amazing piece of music, or when the words for this song came through, can you tell me where did they come from? And every one of them, Andre, every one to the T gave me the same answer. Everyone said, it did not come from me. It came through me, from somewhere else. Every one of them said they had to find a way to get out of the way, to allow this deep inspiration to come through them. That is a familiar facet of divinity. Artists say the same thing. If you talk to an artist, who's done an amazing, or a sculptor, or a poet, they say the same thing. As a writer, I have had this experience where I don't know what I'm going to write, and I sit down and give myself the opportunity of either a blank piece of paper, or now it's a blank computer screen, and become very empty so that I could become very full of whatever it is that's going to come through. These are expressions of divinity. Divinity is a part of us. Our divinity is the part of us that's ancient, it's timeless, it's ageless. It is where our creativity, our intuition, our imagination comes from. And it's what sets us apart from every other form of life. And as we get in deeper into the biology of how it works, we can only access our divinity through our bodies, through the DNA antenna of our bodies and the cellular structure of our bodies. There is a movement to replace our bodies, the transhuman movement, to replace our bodies with synthetics, with chemicals in the blood, sensors under the skin, computer chips in the brain, artificial intelligence. And by virtue of doing so, it steals from us our ability to access this part of us, our divinity. So what we're seeing playing out in the world today, whether you're looking at Ukraine and Russia and the role of America, or you're looking at the Middle East, you're looking at Israel and the Palestinian tragedy, that is the horrors that are happening there, and you look at everything happening all around that, people tend to think these are isolated, spontaneous events. And people say to me, wow, isn't it amazing all these things are happening right now? They're happening now because the battle for our divinity has intensified to such a degree that these are the events that it takes to keep us from that inner focus.
Imagine that you are told, from a young age, that you are inherently flawed, that your emotions, your ability to empathize, and even your very mortality are imperfections that must be fixed. This is the narrative being presented by some transhumanist ideologies, which suggest that human emotions are weaknesses and that sickness and death are things to be avoided or eliminated through technology. In this worldview, if we are broken, we must be saved by artificial intelligence, brain implants, and other technological enhancements. We are conditioned to see ourselves as incomplete, and technology is positioned as the only answer to our perceived flaws. While technologies such as AI, brain-computer interfaces, and genetic engineering hold immense promise, they pose significant risks. As we integrate these technologies with our biology, there is a real concern that we could lose our human qualities, our creativity, intuition, empathy, and capacity for love. For example, Elon Musk's Neuralink technology has demonstrated how brain-computer interfaces can restore mobility to those with disabilities, offering incredible benefits. However, proposals to implant computer chips in newborns by 2030 to give them an edge in life raise troubling questions about the future of human identity. As advanced as these technologies are, they still only mimic the intricate systems within our bodies. The human body is an extraordinary network, more sophisticated than any machine we have created. We must remember that we are not broken, we are whole, and the true potential lies in embracing our humanity, not trying to fix it with technology.
To say this, to set the context, everything we're seeing in our lives today, even the things that so many of my friends, the social justice things that are important and they're really wrapped up in, for example, in the United States, the pronoun conversation, what pronouns are we using, the transgender conversation, abortion conversation, gay rights conversation, all these are important, but if you look closely at what's happening, the races, black against white, Christian against Muslim, Jew against Muslim, the rich against the poor. These are all really important conversations that go right to the gut, man. They cut right to the core of our most primal instincts. And if we don't know how we are being engaged, then we will respond on that primal level. They're important conversations. They have been skillfully weaponized to divide us and keep us separate from one another, to break the social bonds that have always kept families and communities and societies and nations together. There's an intentional effort to break those bonds, and sadly, it appears to be working well to some degree because we're allowing it. We're allowing ourselves to be played, to be pawns in this ancient game. So the conversations are important. And I don't want to diminish the significance of those conversations. It's also important to recognize that the topics have been weaponized. And rather than having conversations in kindness to become closer as brothers and sisters in the global family, the differences that we used to celebrate as our strength have now become the differences that are being used, being weaponized to divide us. And keep us in our fear. And it is divinity that allows us to transcend that fear. So when you think about this, all of a sudden it becomes really clear why a dark power would want to keep us in that fear, because we become powerless victims in that fear. And as victims, we need a savior. And technology is now being touted as our savior. We're being told that we are flawed as humans by virtue of our existence. Emotion is one of our flaws. The inability to make clear, logical decisions without having emotion. Empathy is considered to be a flaw by transhumanists. Sickness, illness, death is considered to be a flaw by transhumanists. And we are programming our young people to believe that they are broken and flawed from the time of birth and that they are victims of something beyond their control. And if you're a victim, you need a savior. And the savior, we're being told, is technology, computer chips in the brain, artificial intelligence, sensors under the skin, AI that knows us better than we know ourselves. And when you begin to understand the big picture, and I'm covering a lot of ground here intentionally because we'll tie into this. When you begin to understand the big picture, all of a sudden, the power of human divinity becomes something more than a casual academic peripheral conversation. It's front and center for everything that's happening in our lives today. And the beauty is you don't have to know that, but you can simply live the best version of yourself and transcend the efforts to keep us small and separate and insignificant. Group that always say, because we can do these things, because we've had the insight to develop these extraordinary technologies, that gives us the right to use them. That gives us the right to implement them. If we were never meant to implement them, we never would have figured it out. And during the Cold War years, when this was around weapons technology, this is a very important conversation. There's another school of thought, another group of scientists say, oh, hold on, not so fast. Just because we can doesn't mean we should. Just because we can do these things, maybe we ought to reel it in a little bit and think about the moral implications or what it means to our values in society. It's like the gas and the brakes. On the one hand, we are going full bore, exploring the deepest mysteries of the universe and of life itself. And now we have the ability, as some people say, to hack the physics of the universe and to hack the biology of human life or all life. And once you do that, the proverbial genie is out of the bottle. You're never going to go back. Once you develop it, you're never going to undevelop it. Probably not going to set it on a shelf somewhere. You're going to use it and implement it some way. So the other piece of this is what I saw very quickly is technology isn't good or bad or right or wrong. It's the thinking that underlies the society when the technology is being developed. During World War II and the Cold War years, we poured tremendous amounts of energy and human power, human intellect, and money and technology into pushing the boundaries of what we know. Same is happening with transhumanism. There are places, and you just mentioned one. Elon Musk has a company called Neuralink, and it's actually been around for a while. And they are the first to develop the computer chip. It's not actually in the brain. It's interesting. It sits in a space above the brain and below the bone. And there's a little space in there. And there are 128 microfibers that go down into the neocortex. And they pick up information. There's sensors. Pick up information from the neurons, bring it back to the chip, and the chip then processes it and sends it through essentially a Bluetooth-type technology to the computer with no wires. That can be a beautiful thing for servicemen and women who have lost arms and legs and in the battlefields halfway around the world, Afghanistan, Iraq, to give a man or woman the ability to hold their babies in their arms once again with their prosthetics, or to brush their own teeth, or comb their own hair, or feed themselves. But what a beautiful, beautiful thing. And that's one of the good things that can come from all of this. There are now proposals on the table, governmental agencies proposing by the year 2030 that all newborns be implanted with a computer chip in the brain. They say to give them the edge in business and in technology and to be able to compete successfully in life. And when I say this to a live audience, I mean, I can see people's eyes. They say, not my babies. We don't want this. So there's a part of us. This is the generation, Andre. It's not going to drag on forever. We're at this pivotal point where the technology is at this stage where we are now making a decision. And I'm fascinated by this because it's never happened before. We now have the ability to make decisions that will not change so much the world around us, but the world within us forever in ways that can never be reversed. This goes all the way down to the genetic level. And when we define human through a very specific quality of DNA, we now have on the table proposals for medications, for different kinds of medical applications that will forever change who we are genetically. And we don't even know what that means. We don't even know what it means to be human. We're about to give our humanness away to the technology before we even know what it means to be fully human.
In the end, as Gregg Braden wisely reminds us, it is not technology that will save us but the recognition of our divine potential. As we navigate the complexities of this rapidly changing world, we must hold firm to the understanding that technology should serve humanity, not seek to redefine it. We are being presented with technologies that promise to enhance our lives, but in the process, we must never lose sight of the power we already possess. We are not broken, flawed, or incomplete. We can rise above the forces that seek to divide and control us. Our true strength lies not in machines or artificial intelligence but in the fullness of our humanity. Our creativity, compassion, and innate potential. If we embrace these qualities fully, we ensure that technology remains a tool that amplifies our strength rather than one that diminishes the essence of who we are. Let us not rush into the future with fear and uncertainty, as Braden urges us, but instead, let us approach it with clarity, wisdom, and a deep understanding of what it truly means to be human. The promises of artificial intelligence, genetic engineering, and transhumanism may seem enticing, but they pale compared to the inherent wisdom we already carry. When we understand the power within us, not in external technologies, we no longer need to rely on artificial means to define who we are. We will realize that we, as human beings, are the ultimate technology capable of creating a future worthy of our highest potential. By embracing this truth, we can shape a future that aligns with our true essence, not one dictated by fear or technological dependence. If you found this message compelling and enjoyed the video, be sure to give it a thumbs up, share it with others, subscribe to our channel, and turn on post notifications for more thought-provoking content. Thanks for watching.